Shameless plug incoming. Today's episode is brought to you by the book Everyone is a Sinner But Me, available now at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
Live from Happy Valley Studios, this is the MCS100 show featuring Caleb Hennon. And now your host, the last free voice in America, MCS1!
Welcome! Welcome everyone to an amazing new milestone-like episode of the MCS1 show. I'm MCS1, your host, and I'm joined with my dear compadre via satellite, Caleb Hennon. What up, Caleb?
Woo! Via satellite!
Yeah, I am. Wow. Yeah.
You're welcome for that moment in time.
So we got a really cool episode today. This is our 100th episode. Number 100.
We did it.
We
guys.
did it. We saved the community center. Well, not quite. Kind of. I mean, sort of. But yeah, we are in the 100th episode. And that's kind of why, like, the intro music or whatever I had to the original intro music that we had, like, way back in the day as well. At least for this episode. Don't think this is a reoccurring thing, people. I'm going back to the other stuff soon enough.
Nice.
But yeah, we're at number 100. Wow. I mean, it took us what, like 6.5, 7 years to get here.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's
like
been
actively.
It's been a long time. But we got something really special today. Today's not going to be like a society counterculture, us talking on Provo. Although I'm sure we're going. I'm just kidding. We're going to be done.
It'll come up.
It'll come up. But it's not planned to. Well, actually it is. But this is literally our 100th episode. And I can't believe it. I'm not saying I never thought we would get this far. I just didn't think it would take us this long to get this far.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we probably should have been here like forever ago.
Yeah, we probably should have been here like 5 years ago.
I mean, you're not wrong.
No, not even. But today what we're going to do is we're going to pay like a little bit of a tribute to the show. We have a lot to cover. We're going to talk about a little bit about the history of the show because we have a lot of people that come on like later, and I don't think a lot of people also know how like the show got started or any of that type of stuff. We talk a little bit about, but we haven't really gotten into like the behind the scenes story. And then we're going to talk about we got some announcements as well, some big announcements. And then we'll go from there. So let's get into the good stuff. First of all, I want to thank you, the listener. Yes, you. Like from the bottom of my heart, and I'm guessing probably Caleb's too. Thank you.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess. So
no, thank you for sure.
Thank you guys. Because like since the beginning, we've always wanted to make the show something different that people could enjoy. And we've always been open to listener feedback over the years, and we've taken some of those suggestions. Some of them that worked, we kept using, and others we tossed aside and said your opinion was garbage. Yep. But I'm just kidding. Most of the feedback we have gotten has been very constructive and good, and that's why the show fan base has been growing. So we just wanted to take a moment and thank you guys. Especially like some of the personal feedback that I receive from people. I get comments from some of my friends that I know listen to this. They say they haven't talked to me in forever, but since they listen to the show every week, they feel like they have. And that's kind of cool to me, like to have that personal connection without actually associating with them. It makes me feel like I'm estranged in that relationship, though. But it's
yes.
it's definitely something interesting. The other thing that is nice is sometimes we'll Caleb and I's schedules won't line up, and or we'll have technical issues. One night, Caleb's power went out of his house.
Yeah, that was
Um,
awesome, by the way.
Yeah, and so because of this, we've had to push episodes back or not record or release in time, occasionally, and so we don't always release on Tuesday, even though we are trying here. It's not that we're lazy; it's just that we're lazy and things come up.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both, guys.
So it's a little bit of both.
Stop being so judgmental.
Yeah, give us a little credit here, because like we're kind of trying, but not really, and stuff's happening. So, but really, we always don't get everything out on Tuesday, even though we try to. And I actually do appreciate people like will message me on Twitter, Facebook. I've gotten even a couple texts here and there. It's like, hey man, where's the show? and it's cool because I know people are listening, and it actually feels kind of nice. So thank you guys for being loyal fans.
Big time.
And
Thank you.
Yeah. Like I greatly appreciate it. So let's talk about the history of the show. This is something I've been wanting to do for kind of a while, and we brought it up in bits and pieces here and there, but we haven't concretely sat down around the campfire and told how this show came about. So it goes back a couple years, so probably 2011. I think it goes back that far. I read a book called "In 50 Years We'll All Be Chicks" by Adam Carolla. Great book. It's hilarious. I still read that book from time to time. And when I read it, I could not put it down. Like I reread it over and over. The way that he dissected society and put it into these humorous anecdotals of his, and the way that he explained things was funny. And it was really funny to me because it was similar to how I explain things. And I just really liked it. And for those of you that don't know, Adam Carolla is a very famous podcaster. I think currently he has the Guinness Book of World Records most downloaded podcast. He beat Ricky Gervais a couple years ago. So very, very successful podcaster. And back then, when I read this book, I didn't really know he was a podcaster. I saw a random video of him on YouTube, and it was like really funny. And I was like, what happened to Adam Carolla? And I looked into him, like, oh, he's writing a book, huh? I'm like, oh, this could be funny. And so I bought it, and it was actually the first book I bought on Amazon Kindle too, when I got my Kindle. And so yeah, I read this book, and it kind of inspired me. I wanted to write a book similar with my views on society. And I would outline different topics like the U.S. educational system, some social norms that just seem flat out fucked up, and just random things that just flat out piss me off. I think you all are seeing where this is going. You're like, wow, this sounds really familiar. So later that year, I was hanging out with Jordan Huey, a good friend of mine. And he was starting up an online radio station and music for Provo and podcast called This University Life. And his idea sounded really cool. And I was talking with him about this, and he was talking to me about podcasts. And I was kind of familiar at this point with podcasts, like what they were and stuff like that. And I kind of just defined them as talk radio you could download, which is kind of essentially what podcasts are.
Right.
And then he asked me, that would basically be like laying the groundwork for the show. He said, do you know any podcasters that would be on my station? And I was like, nah, I don't, but I would be interested in hosting something. And at the time, I think Jordan didn't think I was serious. And he was just kind of, because Jordan kind of knew me. and him and I became roommates later as well. And so he kind of knew me, and I think he was thinking, all right, this is gonna be one of these things that Mark starts and then he quits. And I think that's what he was thinking, because I'm actually kind of a very non-committal person, and I'm not super flighty, but I am pretty non-committal. And I was like, yeah, Jordan, I'll do a show. It's gonna be great. And he's like, yeah, okay, sure. But he agreed to it, and I thought that's the cool part. And then a month before the show was going to launch, like before I was going to start recording episodes, because originally I thought about originally just having me on a mic talking just by myself. And looking back now, it's like I can't fucking do that. I don't do stand up. I like having someone to go off of and talk with. Let's be real, Caleb. I can't do the show without you, despite all those idle threats I make. So it was a month before the wedding, and Caleb and I, we were going to Shane Barker's wedding. You remember this, Caleb?
Yes, I do.
And I rode with Caleb and his girlfriend at the time. At least I thought they were dating.
Yep, we sure were.
Okay, they were, and it's now his wife as well. So it was the three of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to Shane Barker's wedding, and Caleb, he's like, "Hey man, what are you up to?" Standard small talk stuff. And I'm not really a small talk guy.
You're not?
Yeah, I know, right? Like no idea. Yeah, I'm just not. I've never been a big small talk guy. It's like really hard for me to do small talk, and so I'm like, well, I'm working on starting this talk show, this podcast. And I start telling him about what I'm going to do. And Caleb just like got really excited about it. And I was like, hey man, do you want to come on for a couple episodes? See how it works out, see how we do together. He's like, yeah, totally. And I don't think Caleb thought what he was getting into all the way.
Nope.
Either. I don't think anyone thought about this very, very thoroughly.
I like to think that I did that, by the seat of my pants, just going with it.
Yeah. And so we later had a guy. It was Barry Sines. He was our producer for the first half of season 1. And Barry, he lived in my old apartment complex. He's a really cool dude, super chill. And I told him about this, and I go, hey man, I want to do this podcast, but I want intro music and like all this crazy stuff. And so he was the announcer for like the first season, like 1 and 2. Like we kept his voiceover lines, and we just kept remixing them until we went with a animatronic sounding chick, which has kind of been the staple of the show of the past couple of years. And so when Caleb and I were first recording, we would just sit in Barry's room, and we would have like a shotgun mic on top of a office chair. Yeah. You remember, man? Like,
oh, I remember.
Oh man, we had a shotgun mic between the two of us on this on an office chair, and we were just talking to the mic, and we were both sitting like kind of close to it. And it was like, it wasn't like uncomfortable, but it was like, it was kind of weird because we had to like lean down to be into this mic. And we did this for our first 5-6 episodes, I think. And then eventually Eric Collier, the one of the other guys running the Yes University Life radio station, loaned me his mixer and a couple of his mics. And then we started using those. And then we quit recording in Barry's apartment and started recording in mine. And that's when things started getting a little bit more serious and a lot more fun.
Yep.
Yeah. And we I don't like to think that we cut Barry out of the picture, because I think he thought he was I think he had the mentality of, this is gonna be quick, I'm not gonna do much of it type of thing. I think
I can almost guarantee that's what he was thinking.
I think he didn't think that this was going to last very long, and he's like, I'm not really in for the long haul, but I want to help out because I'm a cool guy. So I doubt Barry's listening, but thanks, Barry. So
Thanks, Barry.
thanks, Barry. So that's kind of how the show got started, and where we kind of just picked up. And then season 2 was mostly recorded at my place at the Riv, back when I lived at the Riviera Apartments. And so that was where like season 2, mostly season 2 was, and then a brief portion of it we recorded at Eric Collier's house, the last few episodes of that season. And then I got really busy with life. Not even life, school.
Yeah.
Where I was going. I think Caleb did too. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing here. This was about the time I was doing my senior capstone project. And I was just super swamped with stuff because it was like a documentary. And I just got so swamped doing this documentary that it was hard for me to focus on really anything besides homework, the show, a little bit of a social life, and then playing Skyrim till all hours of the morning. While also,
like you should.
Like I should. And then also, I think at this point, I even quit my job that I was working on for a while until I was offered another job also working in housing. So, I mean, I just got mad busy. And so the show kind of died down for a little bit. And then this is a really interesting story right here. So one day, out of the blue, I'm contacted by someone that used to be my neighbor while I was living in student housing. And the guy, we're not going to say his name. We'll just refer to him as the businessman or something like that. Or how about we call him Mr. Business?
How about President Business from the
President Business? You like President Business?
President Business.
All right, so President Business contacts me, and he used to be like a businessman marketer, and he's not originally from Utah, but he moved to Utah to experience his quote culture or lack thereof. And
that was his real reason?
That was his real reason when he originally came.
That is absolutely an awful reason to do anything.
Well, it happens to he joined the Mormon Church, and Utah is kind of the Mormon Church hub, and
sure.
So that's pretty much why. I mean,
whatever.
I
guess people do what they want.
Yeah, so he started looking through my show through like my really old Facebook post, or I think we had the MCS1 show like fan page a while ago or whatever, and he's like, I've been listening to your show. Wow, it's really good. And I'm not saying our show was good back then, but compared to where it is now, we weren't bad, but we weren't the best. I'd say now we're
way better now. I think.
Yeah, we're between good and great. We're in that bracket.
Indeed.
Yeah, not the best, but we're getting there. And so President Business is like, hey man, I want to produce your show or whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this is cool, because we had kind of stopped doing the show because I got busy with school, but I was starting to come out of it for a little bit. And also we this University Life Radio pivoted to more of a Pandora type thing, where it would come up like an algorithm to what to listen to next. And so they cut out podcasts as well. So we weren't really being played on anything except for like the old files that were just hosted online. So we weren't really getting out there as much. I think in season 2 we talked about how we were kicked off the air of our other radio station that we started on.
I think we're a little further, a little beyond that now.
I'm still bitter, but I'm just kidding.
That's cool.
So President Business, he's contacting me and he's like, hey man, I really want the show to take off. And so we started uploading podcast episodes to a thing called Spreaker, basically a podcasting platform.
Mm-hmm.
Now, despite this producer being as successful as he was claiming to be, he really didn't want to pay out money for hosting, which is like hosting back then and even now, it's like $100 a year.
Right.
So if you're curious as how much the show's costing me, people, it's about this plus another 100 for the website, and then my time, which is
Right.
invaluable, I'm sure somehow. Um, and so, but to me back then, $100 for me to do my own website hosting as a poor college kid, that was a lot of money.
Right.
Otherwise, I would have done it myself. And so he's like, "Well, I'll front the money for the hosting," but he was still kind of, I don't know, being really picky about it. But after all the stuff he was promising, I'm like, "Oh, maybe it won't be so bad." And so a few months went by, and after him and I had been talking, and then he needed like a quick spot sample of the show, like a quick preview. And I was like, "Well, why can't you use one of the other episodes that we
Yeah, which would make the most sense.
I know. So I'm like, why don't you use one of the other episodes that we have? No. I want it to be on something new for them or whatever. And so Caleb and we hadn't recorded a show in what, like, it's been like a year or two?
Yeah, it had been a while, yeah.
It had been a while, probably about a year, probably a year and a half, I think, year and a half. And we were like, okay, well, we can do something like really quick. What do you, I'm like, we could do something on vegans. So the 15 so the 15
Now I remember that. Oh man, I forgot about that show.
So the 15-minute vegan show that we did in episode 2, it wasn't 30 minutes, it was 15, because back then we were constrained to these 30-minute time slots because we were on the this University Life Radio.
Right.
And so that's why we have this 15-minute episode. And Caleb came over at like 7-8 o'clock Saturday morning or some shit.
Something like that. Yeah, it was early.
It was early for and then you were like really tired. I think you had an energy drink and you were in sweatpants.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Yeah,
for the situation.
And you're just like, let's bang this thing out, man. And so we did it like 15 minutes. I edited it, shot it off to a President Business, and we didn't hear back. And then we didn't hear back for like 2 months. Like, oh yeah, these guys, they loved it. And to be honest, looking back on that show, we did not give vegans the justice they do or don't deserve, however you want to phrase it. However you want to phrase that. But we will get into that later. We will be coming full circle with veganism. And so I never really got to hear anything else about what happened to those investors either. Like, they're like, oh, they loved it, but that was it.
That was such a weird, like, and you can give me your thoughts on this as well. But I remember there was like, when I first heard about this whole idea, I was like, oh, this is cool, having an invest, like,
yeah,
kind of pumped, like, oh, this could turn into something big or whatever, and then all of a sudden it was like, JK, we're not going to talk to you ever.
Yeah, it was really weird. And this guy had apparently a lot of big connections that he was throwing around.
Which is the other thing. And I was like, so your big connections like aren't very reliable, or what the hell?
And the thing was, we weren't really doing anything else. So we weren't. we could bitch all day, but we didn't really have anything else going for the show. So it's like, whatever. But hold on, this does come to a boiling point. So eventually, the producer's coming to town.
Yeah.
For a meeting with Caleb and I. I'm sorry, not the producer, President Business, who
President Business, yes,
acting as our producer, is going to come to town. Have a big meeting with Caleb and I, and we invited Casey Walker to it. Because I think I knew there was going to be some sort of role for Casey in the show.
Right.
Because I had met him. I talked with him a little bit about the show, and him and I had like a really good dynamic. Different than Caleb and I, but it was a really good dynamic. Hence why he was kind of on the show for a while.
Right.
And so we went to this meeting, and Casey was like quiet the whole time. Or did he show up late? I can't remember.
If I remember right, he was a little bit late, like just a little bit late. But yeah, he was very quiet.
Yeah, he was really quiet because him and I had talked about this. Like, we brought this story up like a couple times, and so this meeting we had it, and it was basically, oh, here's the other thing, that the President Business bought the MCS1show.com domain.
Right.
And back then we were like, I don't know, branding is everything kind of thing. And it's like, if he's got the domain name, we've kind of sealed the deal. And so we end up having this meeting, and spoiler alert, it did not go well. The short version of it,
at all.
not at all. The short version is we were promised a lot of access to things, but it was coming eventually. We were going to also be given an app for the show, and we don't really need an app, nor did we want a freaking app. We wanted a website, and that's what we really wanted.
Exactly.
We wanted a website to host our stuff, but allow us to post show notes, links, shit like that. We wanted people to be able to have like when the show's over, they can go to the website and check out additional stuff if they're interested. That's kind of what we wanted. We wanted to just have a more inclusive experience for people, and then the bombshell got dropped.
It was quite the bombshell.
Quite the bombshell. It was with a lot of the things that were being promised, we were not going to be paid for the show.
Yeah. Which was, I thought, hilarious.
Yeah, and
in all the wrong ways, obviously.
Yeah, and it didn't really register. Like it kind of like hit me, and I was like really quiet. It kind of hit me like a ton of bricks.
Right.
And like I didn't like snap or get triggered, but Caleb did.
Yep.
Caleb, like I've never seen him like he didn't say this, but it was basically like, what the fuck kind of thing. Like it might as you might as well have said that, dude.
Yeah.
Like
it's true.
And so Caleb's like, well, what the hell are we getting? And President Business is like, well, we're going to give you this app, the website, some hosting. Oh, well, no, not even the website. Not even the thing we wanted. It was the hosting, the website domain, which I think they were going to try to use to like download the app, which was weird.
Again,
or just forward to the hosting for the files.
Yeah,
again with this
super odd setup.
Yeah, again with this app. And the thing is, like, we really want that's not what we were about. And it's not really, I mean, we're a little bit about vanity, but not that much. You know what I mean?
I mean, at least a little.
Just a little. Just a little.
Yeah.
So we I mean, it was the worst trade deal in the history of trade.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty much it. And so Caleb wasn't down for the deal, and then President Business left, and Casey, Caleb, and I got together, and we're like, "Fuck this," you know, type of thing. And we're like, "Well, he still owns the .com domain or whatever." I'm like, "Fuck that! We're gonna rename the show, and we're gonna rebrand, do all this shit." And so I named it Vox Extra Nam, which was voice of the outsider in Latin, which is not catchy at all. And I'm kind of glad Caleb and I recorded 3 episodes, which have never aired. I can't even find the files for them. I know what they were on.
That's which is so funny to me, because like we literally have these like hidden episodes, and if we ever did like a DVD box set, it would be like, oh, we found the files.
I've been looking for these suckers. I really have, because I was like, I can go through and re-edit this and make it sound like an MCS1 show. But I remember we did one on self-entitlement, and then one on like I think straight up narcissism.
Yeah.
And then there was one other one that I just cannot remember for the life of me. But they were all kind of and when we were doing it, we all kind of had like little digs at President Business.
Yep.
In them, like we were pissed. We were pissed about losing.
He was basically trying to take our brainchild, well, your brainchild, you know, and then our joint efforts, and just basically saying like, well, you know, we know that you guys did a lot of work, but we want to have all of the rights.
I know, and that really upset me, because you know, people don't realize how much effort we actually do kind of put into this. But it's whatever. It's whatever. So Vox Extra Nam just kind of fell through the cracks, and then eventually I was watching the domain name and I got it back. The MCS100.com. It's up for grabs. So like after a year after the deal fell through, President Business just let it expire. And so I went and I got that, and then I started the site for the show. And then I started I decided that themes was more of something I wanted to have rather than seasons. And so that's where we get this reflections on society, and then Happy Valley Hate type
Right.
of thing. It's we and then stuff like that. And then I relaunched the show with Casey doing the Happy Valley Hate series for a while, and then Casey got engaged and he got busy. But right about the time he got engaged and busy, Caleb's life was opening back up again.
Indeed, it was.
And so the timing was perfect. And so then I was like, hey, Caleb, you want to be on the show? And Caleb obviously was like, yeah, totally. And so that kind of just brings us up to point. Hooray! So that's kind of the hidden story behind the show. Like, this is our VH1 moment.
Yeah, behind the music.
Behind the music with all the drugs and lack thereof.
Definitely a lack. Dude, I'm too poor for drugs.
Yeah, seriously. I mean,
You know,
I spend all my
like,
money for this podcast hosting. This $100 a year.
Because that's the thing is like you look at it and it's like, yeah, of course, rock stars, rock stars have lots of drug money, but it's like, yeah, because they're millionaires. Like,
Yeah,
I'm over here and I'm like,
we're not exactly rock stars, people.
no. Well, and it's like, I mean, I gotta worry about like what my kids are gonna. You think I'm gonna get drugs? Come on, man. I don't have money, but
we're kind of like H-list celebrities. Like, we're that far down the alphabet. Like, at least we're in the H's, Caleb. At least we're in the H's.
Hey, man, we did it. We did it.
Yeah.
We should be proud of our H.
So, all right. Here's the fun part. This is good. Not like the grand finale, but we got some big announcements.
Yes, we do.
Like, holy cow, we've been waiting. Like what? When did we come up with, like, November for some of this stuff? Like the big one in November.
The big one, yeah, it was about November.
About November. So we've been waiting a while, and we've had this planned for a good time. So first big announcement. Every year we try to do something that doesn't quite fit in with the show's dynamic. We do this as kind of a test the water for our listeners, just to see what we can get away with.
That's literally our mindset, guys. So if you're ever wondering why the hell we do the things that we do, that is why the hell we do.
And we'll get like either positive or negative reaction for anything. This year, I think we're gonna have pure positive, to be honest. But these are things like when we did the At the Movies series a couple years ago, and then the White Trash Bash last year, our Final Four bracket, a fictional bracket of white trash people battling each other. And then
that was an awesome bracket.
And then us talking serious smack about them.
I mean, what else would they want?
Yeah, but this year we're really thinking this is what's really gonna resonate with us. We think this is gonna be a sure win. We're not gonna get mixed reaction. So what we wanted to do is, and what we're doing is, we're going to have a Redux series. And basically what this is Caleb and I, we're going to revisit old topics that we covered during like seasons 1 and 2 of the show, back when we were doing seasons, and we're going to follow up on these topics and see if our view has changed. And in addition to this, we're giving that vegan show more than 15 minutes.
Yes.
We're going to give it the justice it may or may not deserve.
I mean, it deserves at least something.
Yeah, it deserves something. It deserves more than 15 minutes.
Definitely.
Like, it's 15 minutes of fame or long from up. That shouldn't have been funny, but I laughed. Like, after I said it, I'm like, it was actually kind of funny, but at the same time, I was like, man, that was really stupid. So, and who knows, maybe we'll even have more information from our beloved staple known as the You Don't Even Know guy. So I'm
Who
looking
doesn't
forward.
love the You Don't Even Know?
You don't even know.
guy?
So we're excited for this. Now, the announcement has actually been in the works for a long time.
Yes.
So for years, our not like our goal, but something we've wanted to do for the show has been we wanted to figure out how to make money off the show. Not that we're trying to get rich, although if any of you are interested, I started selling essential oils and I really could people
Get
I
the
could-
hell out.
I can really use some people in my downline. Hun, if you want to make a ton of money.
Oh my gosh.
But no, we're not greedy, but we have wanted to make the show just to pay for the hosting, and a couple other small things that we want to do just to help the show grow.
Right.
Our goal is just to have the show grow. If we get rich from it, cool. But I really don't think with this line of work we're going to. But you never know. You never know.
No. You don't know.
I'd love to go to a high school reunion and tell people, yeah, I spend my days talking to a microphone about how shitty Provo, Utah is and get paid for it. I mean,
that would be a great moment.
That's the dream. That's the dream right there. So, and we've been trying to figure out how to make money off the show for years. We joked about having sponsors. Speaking of which, Fidel, if you're listening,
seriously, man,
seriously,
we could use it.
Yeah, so that was our joke of 2016. The Fidel Castro sponsorship until he died. That kind of ruined that. But we joked about having sponsors. And at one point, Caleb and I we talked about opening a Patreon account, which was a crowdfunding source. The crowd like Kickstarter, but for like content that we put out. But we were pretty close to going. Like I had the page it's like ready and like everything was set up, and I like the packages, like it's for those who don't know Patreon, it's like you donate so much a month, you get like so much things for the show. Like one thing that we had set up was like a special episode that would only be released to special subscribers that were paying, type of thing. Right. We had a couple other things too that were really interesting, like blog posts we were going to be putting up, but it didn't really feel right. It just didn't feel like it was what we wanted at all. Like it wasn't like it was bad, but it didn't feel like it was us. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And the other thing is, I'm not really good about like pitching, like self-promoting and advertising. I'm not good about that. Like, not my thing. So we finally came up with something besides advertising for my goddamn book, which you should all buy, by the way. There we go.
If you're not buying his book, you're a complete dick.
Buy my book. Everyone is a sinner but me. What a great plug. But no, plugging things like that, it just doesn't really feel authentic, even though it's generally expected. But we want to come up with something where I felt like the user was getting something back, and if they did get something, it was something they liked and we liked, and it was an exchange of money.
Right.
And I wanted a product basically besides my book. So I'm happy to announce, this is the big announcement. That's for a while. We are starting up a t-shirt line.
Boom.
Boom. There it is. Mic drop. Yep. And there we go. That's our show. I want to thank Caleb for coming. No, Cam. So we're going to start designing t-shirts. Actually, we've already been designing t-shirts. We've been designing t-shirts since like freaking November. We got a ton. We're going to release 5 of them today.
Mm-hmm.
And Yeah, we're going to talk about those. Now, the plan with the t-shirts, also, let's talk about the provider we went through. We looked at a lot of different t-shirt companies.
Yes.
And a big one was Teespring. That's a very popular one. The print as you go t-shirt companies. We even looked at one on Amazon as well. And I'm kind of a big Amazon junkie, and I assume most people are too. But I went with a company called Threadless Tees, and they are amazing. A lot of my favorite t-shirts are actually made by these guys, and a lot of the other artists besides me are really, really good. And so we decided to roll with Threadless Tees, and we're pretty happy about it. Everything that we've done has been flawless working with them, and so we're very pleased about the partnership that we have come up with them. Now, a lot of you are probably with these 5 designs expecting the MCS1 show shirt
Right.
coming out. I hate to break it to everyone, but we are releasing, at least at this time, the MCS1 show shirt. What we're going to be doing with the shirts, though, we are going to be releasing designs that are heavily based on things that we talk about on the show.
Right.
And our plan is to release at least one t-shirt a month, and it would be related to the topic. So we would go through a show, talk about a topic about something that's coming up, and then we would release a shirt, and it go to sale for market next month, rinse and repeat. And that's what we want to do. If people are really invested and like they really want to help out the show, they can just go buy a t-shirt, support us, buy a shirt. That simple. That way, you guys get something, we get something, everyone's happy. And the money that we're going to be getting from this t-shirt is going to be going towards our hosting fees and all this other stuff. But we're also going to be using it to pay some really high-end, not like super high, well, maybe really high-end, I don't know, some really high-end artists to produce even better, more high-quality t-shirts.
So basically, the money is really going back into kind of the production value of the items that we're offering.
It is, to be honest. And that's what we want to do. We want to have this be a continuous growing process. That way we can keep coming out with better things, keep improving. Not saying the stuff we're releasing today isn't the greatest, but the stuff we plan on releasing is amazing.
Right.
And so that's where we're at. So let's talk today about these 5 new designs that we are releasing for launch. So first of all, for my book, Everyone is a Sinner But Me, I figured I should have some shirts to go along with this. So what I decided to roll with was 2 shirts involving that. And so I went with a shirt. I call this Steve the Angel of Judgment. And it is basic. And for those who have seen my book, this is who's on the cover. This is a picture of Steve on the cover, and we have it on like a nice tan type of shirt as well. And so the other thing about all of these shirts, these are all shirts I wear. Excluding maybe color scheme. But these are all shirts I would wear, and I plan on, to be honest.
Right.
So I'm pretty pleased with the way a lot of these turned out. So the first one is we have Steve the Angel of Judgment. Basically the cover of the Everyone is a Sinner But Me book. Then the second one, based off that book, is I call this one Judgment Steve. Or Judge Steve, whatever. And no, it's not like
Judy. It's not like Judge Judy?
No, Kayla, are you looking at this right now?
I sure am.
It's a bit ridiculous.
Wish it was Judge Judy.
It's so I took the Obama style change poster and I basically
really improved it,
Yeah, I really improved it. And I put Steve in there. And instead of change at the bottom, it says judge, and he's got a pissed off look on his face judging someone. And so with the Obama style colors. So I'm pleased with that because it's just so ridiculous. Next up, this one, I'm really good with fonts and text. I can't draw worth crap, but I'm pretty good at photoshopping things and doing fonts and text. And Caleb, it's probably hard for you to see this one, but the image isn't quite showing up on our notes together. But with Straight Outta Compton coming out like what 2-3 years ago, everyone was making fairly recently. Everyone was making all these like straight out of my city here.
Yeah.
And like that's cool and all, but I want to do something different, and I want it to be Provo related.
It has to be.
Otherwise, it has to be because like we talk so much about the culture and counterculture of that area. So and no one wants to claim they're straight out of Provo, and if they do, they can buy. Yeah, and if they do, they can buy that shirt elsewhere. So I took that. I mean, really, it's out there. Like, what'd you say?
Don't buy it from us.
Don't buy it from us. Well, we didn't make a straight out Provo shirt. That's not who we are. I mean, that's not. We're kind of like culture jam. Take things and we spin them around, and make them our own and a lot more terrible. So we have a shirt made in the style of Straight Out of Compton, or that straight out of whatever city thing going on, with the stay out of Provo. Sending a clear message to everyone that Provo is not a place to hang out, or you like Provo a lot and you want other people not to.
Exactly.
I mean, it's subjective however you want it. So we got a stay out Provo shirt. I'm proud of that because it's so ridiculous.
It's kind of amazing, to be honest.
It is. And then the next two shirts also have a theme as well. Both Provo centered, Provo All-Star centered. I have basically a very 90s-esque shirt that says Provo All-Star. And for the A and star or whatever, it's like an actual star.
Right.
And it's very 90s font and very 90s color, like a weird purple and blue. Actually, like an 80s purple and a 90s blue mixed together.
Just both of the worst things from either decade.
Exactly, the worst things from either decade, from a town like Provo that peaked in the 80s.
Did it peak?
It pretty much has, because like.
No, but I mean, like, I just didn't know that it like had a point where it was better.
I really. Well, it's kind of my point. I think the 80s is winning, and it just really hasn't gotten better from that point.
I don't see, and I just don't see it ever being able to, you know?
Yeah, and neither do I. So we have this shirt, and you guys can check all these shirts out and that's where we will have a link to go buy these. There'll be a new section called shirts, and you can go see the shirts and click there to go to the exact place to go buy those at threadlesstees.com, or you can just search MCS1 and you can see my artist shop. But finally, and the big one, and this is my favorite, not by far my favorite, but definitely my favorite. So I took a graphics tee, and we of a guy lifting like at a gym, you know, like total like.
Yep.
This image, it's like a total. So we have an image here. I'm just gonna spell it out for people. It's a total Provo All-Star, just completely jacked with his shirt off, and the best part is he's got a part in his hair as well.
The part is the nicest touch.
The part is the nicest touch, and he's got his mouth open, just saying something like this completely obnoxious, because he's completely obnoxious, and he's lifting this heavy like barbell weight. And at the bottom it says Provo All-Star. But the best part about this whole thing is it says in like this crazy bro font behind him. It says, "Bro, I'm gonna make like 50 grand this summer." And that's how Pro Bowl All Stars are. They're like at the gym talking about how much they're gonna make this summer. Like selling
Yep.
alarm systems, pest control, satellite, living scriptures, whatever the hell. And so we took that and we
Living Scripture's a thing?
it is.
What?
Like the Pro Bowl All Stars do go door to door. Kind of ridiculous.
I did not know that. How did I
Yeah.
not know that?
Yeah, it happened
Man,
to one of my
life changing.
friends out in Washington D.C. got hit up by them. Someone even went
Really?
like they went through the LDS church roster, found his address, went there and was trying to sell to him.
Wow.
I know, right?
That
Great.
is spectacular.
Yeah, classy move there, living scriptures. So
Good job, guys. Just
Yeah,
so proud
so
of
we-
you.
we got this Pro Bowl All Star just sitting here getting gains and bragging about how much he's gonna make an alarm summer. So
I mean, and rightfully so.
rightfully so. I mean,
Rightfully so, bro.
yeah, rightfully so, bro. Like you're gonna make so much money, and that's those are what we have for our shirts, and these are at
Well,
the MCS1show.com.
but
Also,
wait a second though. You're gonna go ahead and do all these shirts, but we're not gonna have the You Don't Even Know guy.
well, yeah. Anyway, everyone, that's our show. Happy 100. I want to thank my guest Caleb Hedden for coming on.
Absolutely.
And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the MCS1 show. For episodes on society and counterculture, subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. For regular updates, show notes, and links, head to the MCS1show.com or search AOL keyword MCS1.